Hello viewers, Maryann here, revealing light, tarot, astrology and spirituality. Wherever you are in the world when you're watching this, a huge shout out to you. Some of you have asked about the curtain, why I keep that open. I like to keep the room bathed in light. That is also the place where the orbs will show up and they will dance in the light. So I'm not one for blocking the light. I'm one for heading right on toward the light, away from the darkness or out of the darkness. But one thing I don't fear the darkness. I would say 99% of the time I do not fear the darkness, and that's coming from someone who from the very earliest days did not like the dark. But I have lost my fear now of the dark because it's simply there so that we can see the glimmers of light and hopefully head toward them. Why am I talking about all this? Well, we have Halloween coming up on October the 31st. It's actually the 30th of October here in Australia. We're one day ahead of you. And so I won't see you again before Halloween. So I thought today we're going to look at a different kind of subject, one that's quite relevant still, and one that has come up in the news just recently. Now, there is a FC fighter, a well-known Trump supporter. I'll put his name, if I can find it, down in the pinned comment underneath the video, who has come out in the last few days and said Trump is actually the antichrist. Now, this was a subject that was permeating around 2019, 2020. I was asked to do readings on it. I think I might have touched on it, but I always was a little bit apprehensive about going that far, about straying into myth and legend and superstition. I shouldn't say that because it's in the Bible, and that, the Bible is the Bible. But really unwilling to look into the face of such evil. Well, what's happened between now and then is that we've all had to do that. We've all had to stare in the face of evil. We've had to recognise it. We've had to come to terms with some of the illusions that we might have been labouring under. There is one thing about social media in all its grisliness. There's also good that comes from it as well. And why do I say that? Because the truth can't be hidden with social media. Why do you think now we're having those debates about oligarchy? Well, not debates. We're feeling in our souls that things aren't quite right, that having the rich, when I say the rich, there's nothing wrong with wealth. It's how it's used. And if wealth is used to control and subjugate and deprive the masses, then that's when we have to start thinking that our system is not all it's cracked up to be, to put it mildly. There's another debate raging about Mamdani in New York, and people calling him a socialist. His detractors would even go so far as to call him a communist. One Democratic lawmaker in Congress came out today and endorsed the former governor who was accused of sexual abuse, Andrew Cuomo, has endorsed him. And in his endorsement of Cuomo, who left office in absolute disarray and shame and scandal, he said, "I am a democratic capitalist, and Mamdani is a democratic socialist." Oh, now we're calling things, aren't we? What is a democratic socialist? I took the trouble a few years ago to go and find out what exactly a democratic socialist is. And at the time when the system was just being developed, there was a push. So if I was a railway worker, and I was living in the same town, I'm just giving you a metaphor, same town as a plantation owner, for example, then this idea came that we would pay tax. Now, obviously, the tax that the railway worker is paying won't be the same as the tax as the plantation owner would be paying. But the idea was that we'd put it all into a centralized place, and we'd pay for roads, and we'd pay for, schools, and we'd pay for education. We'd also pay to help those who couldn't pay. Now, the plantation owners thought this was not fair. This was not a fair system. Why should I pay? Why should I pay for the roads of the railway worker? Why should I pay for those that can't pay for themselves? Over time, that system, which was founded, I guess, on I don't know what it was founded on. Certainly not generosity or kindness or anything really, or community. It wasn't founded on community. Let's just put it like that. Over that time, the system developed into those paying those wealthy oligarchs, and we just call them oligarchs now, paid less and less and less and less and less and less and less, and the only way they could do that was to retain or to take power. And so when people call, I don't want to go into the whole history of liberalism or capitalism, but over time the system became very unfair and unbalanced, and those who did not have any power, of course, the wealthy just became more and more and more and more wealthy. That's not capitalism, I don't think. Where capitalism is something where people have a fair go. I have just as much chance of making money as what you do. However, that's not the system now. That is very, very far from the system right now. We have what's known as predatory or extraction capitalism. That's what you see destroying the United States. Now, it's odd, isn't it, that Make America Great Again was launched by a con man for the underprivileged, for the railway workers and the road workers and the truckers and those that were not in the oligarchy, to try and give them a fairer go. How ironic is that? And so when you think about that, Democratic leaners, independent leaners, have more in common than the traditional MAGA base, I guess, who are there wanting to climb out of poverty. However, as I said, you had a con man. Now, back to the Antichrist, this FC, what are they called? The wrestler, kick fighter people. He was a former MAGA person. He's now saying he's been conned, and he's now calling Trump the Antichrist. As I said, that's been a theme coming right through. Edgar Casey, for example, talks a lot about a president who would come and terrorize the masses. The builder of towers, I think he called him. There's been, Nostradamus speaks of an Antichrist. There's been a lot of, as I say, myth and legend. So where am I going with all this? Today we are going to look at, is Trump the Antichrist? Is this a battle between good and evil? How can we protect our faith in the future? And what role do we have to play? Because this transcends boundaries one way or another. Our societies are set up in the same way, and messages from Spirit. This Halloween, what is it that most wants to come forward? So that's a very long-winded introduction, but I think it's important to orient ourselves to the battle that is here and upon us, and very much about a fracturing and what comes after that. All right, I've been thinking about this quite seriously, and with the help of Spirit, I hope to bring forward some truth if I can, and some enlightenment if I can today. All right, drawing on the theme of, I guess, Halloween, where the veil is the thinnest, and if we're going to be having that afterlife contact, now this time of year is a good time to experience that. All right, let's get going. Let's just tune in. Having said that, you can, if you don't want to listen to the introduction to this, I'll put a timestamp and you can skip it, but I urge you to listen to the introduction. All right, Trump is the antichrist, whatever that may mean, the mark of the beast. There's so many similarities, doesn't matter where we look. Now, when I opened up for this reading, I got a crow. I hear a crow. I just heard a crow cawing outside this window. Crows are about transformation. They're about change. And I feel that imagery that I gave of the dark, not being afraid of the dark. In fact, if you were to be covered by a blanket of dark, what would you do? You would look for the light and you would head toward the light. If you couldn't see the light, you would keep going. You wouldn't stop. Okay, so what is it around Trump that you want to... So I'm seeing the high priestess type of figure behind the oval in the desk in the Oval Office. She is a darkened face, and this is full of secrets, mystery. The mystery is not the right word. This is a man who holds many, many, many secrets. A secret and a darkness in the past here. We know that because of the alleged Epstein connection, which I still feel will come to light. Okay, so it's about also... It's about, as I said, people becoming aware and enlightened about who holds secrets and why. Who in power is not transparent, and why? Why aren't they? We do not know who, we know some of Trump's backers, but we certainly don't know the deals that are being made. As I said, deal upon deal, particularly with the ballroom, if you want to go back to my last reading. All right, so secrets, that's the predominant theme. Secrets, high level of secrecy, non-accountability in the Oval Office at the moment, but that wasn't my question. Is Trump evil? Can we call it an evilness? We can call it a baseness. That's what I'm feeling here. So if you want to look at levels of consciousness, this is a very base consciousness, and it is rooted in that the types of things that we call greed, avarice, addiction, toxicity. Very base, I'm feeling, very low. If we're looking at the chakras, very, very low in the chakra, in enlightenment, if we can say that. The base chakra is coming to mind. Okay, so all right, is he ooh, okay. There's not a nice image here. There is evil in Trump, and his comments about, I'm not going to get into heaven, I don't think I'll be getting... He is speaking the truth. He is aware of his nature. So, if we can... If we can... it's also an animalistic thing here too. As much as we describe, as we it's hard to put this into words. We've written about it in books. We've talked about good versus evil. Very much a this or a that. Because that's part of the way that we strive. We strive, we become aware of our own failings, and we strive toward to be better than what we are. Okay, so in that sense, Trump is evil. Trump is base. Trump is that lower energy form. All right, so let's see what I'm using the Thoth deck and the Rider-Waite deck. All right, and I have an Oracle deck here as well. All right, so is Trump the Antichrist? Is Trump the Antichrist? He's a predator, is what I'm feeling. Is Trump the Antichrist? Or an Antichrist? Okay. Because the Bible was written by men, okay, supposedly. Well, I'm not saying supposedly. The scribes wrote the Bible, men. Okay, 3 of Pentacles. He's not the only one. Okay, so the Antichrist, no. Part of that whole energy, yes. And he is building something. And this is what, if I can say, freaks me out a little bit, is that what he's trying to build is actually evil, and those that are helping him do it. You know, whether they're in a country plundering and murdering the population, weapons of mass destruction. Again, he's not the only one. Weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. The forever wars in the Middle East. Gaza. The bombs in Gaza. The genocide in Gaza. Drugs, I think little to no fentanyl. Very little fentanyl comes out of Venezuela. So what's he doing down there? Again, regime change, extraction of the resources. He's not the only one. This is a system. And we have the 4 of Swords. Retreat. Okay, that's good news. So I'm here to say that he does not and will not have dominion. Those like him will not have dominion over us. That in some way there's going to be the 4 of Swords. He's going to take it a certain way, and then he'll be defeated. And this would be in line with the Edgar Casey, I think, prophecy that someone will come to heal post-Trump. Okay, we have the Temperance. And, of course, it's called Trumps. The particular card is called Trumps. It's called Art at the foundation of the reading. So, yeah, there's a healing to come after this. A healing. Oh, that's a nothing card. Don't know how that got in there. The Knight of Pentacles. So we had stability in the past. Is he the Antichrist? We had stability. The system was relatively stable. Trump came along to progress a corrupt system, basically, and it got there through conning enough people to vote for him while he corrupted a corrupt system even further. So again, extracting. I mean, there's so much debt, $38 trillion America is in debt for, and they gave $5 trillion tax cuts to the wealthy. Again, this was him. This is who the backers backed. And we're seeing that now. Will I ever buy another iPhone? Probably not. Okay, so we have here indolence, but it's come out reversed. I don't know why, but it has. The 8 of Cups, which is loss, walking away from loss, and it's reversed in the sky. The danger here is that the next one that comes along, if they're not radically different from this, is going to do the same thing but in a quieter fashion. And so when I saw secrets sitting behind the desk in the Oval Office, it's not just Trump. It's not just Trump. The system is not just Trump. Trump exemplifies, if I can put it that way, exemplifies the system. We have the Queen of Wands in the near future, and that is a power that's taking back one's power. The Queen holds the Ace of Wands, and she steps forward with that motivation. And so when we look at New York City, I still am a little fearful, if I can say that, for Mamdani until that election is finished, because now they're trying to deport him. They don't want. Now, I can tell you Mamdani is not owned by the system. In some way, I don't think Thomas Massey is either. I don't know, but I do know Mamdani is not owned by the system. He's not being paid for talking points. He's not part of the oligarchy. He's not an oligarchical puppet. There she is in the here and now, the High Priestess. Secrets. Is Trump the Antichrist? Holding secrets. No transparency. And the Princess of Wands, it's like a breaking down of the darkness. What is secrecy anyway if it's not, we don't know how to navigate because we don't have the truth. We don't have transparency. We can't see our way forward. And so the other aspect of the High Priestess is use your intuition. And that is a powerful undercurrent of these times, is that we all know and sense what is happening. We are, in a way, the collective are bringing forward this kind of evolution. I am just one part of the collective, as are you. And so we get with the Princess of Wands in the environment around the High Priestess. We know, we are about to know, we are learning, and we are about to learn more. She is the Epstein girls, as they were back then. The women now who are striving for justice. He has secrets. The baseness of him, allegedly for entertainment purposes only. Epstein truth will be heard. Is he the Antichrist? Now we get the Queen of Swords in the hopes and fears. Objectivity, instability through lies. Part of secrecy is lying to withhold the truth. So is he the Antichrist? And we get judgment and inevitability. And then we get virtue reversed. Oh dear, oh dear. Virtue reversed. And then we get swiftness. I don't think he is the Antichrist. However, what this reading, I think he is one of many, not Antichrists in the biblical sense, but one of many in a very corrupt system. We only need to look at the type of people that were involved in the Epstein files. But what this reading is telling me is the truth is coming forward. The darkness is being dispelled through the light of the truth. And it is happening very, very quickly. Very, very quickly. And then we get the Four of Cups reversed, luxury reversed. Again, what will drive some of the unity I keep talking about, between the left and the right, commonality, I should say, commonality, is this truth is going to come forward. So we have here underneath the pack is gain, which is the Nine of Pentacles, which is, again, what's the opposite of gain is loss. And then we have the World card, the ending of a cycle. So I'm quite, it's inevitable Given we've got that judgment card there, it is inevitable. It's the outcome. Change is inevitable. This is a brutal system that is going to end. Now, can Americans rise to the occasion through their resilience and change what needs to be changed? This is the pathway that we are all on, whether we're Americans or Australians or wherever the system is letting us down. So is Trump the Antichrist? Not in the biblical sense. Is he evil? Yeah, he allegedly, I'm not going to say allegedly, for entertainment purposes only. You can take my intuition, and it's not based on, well, I'm not going to say any more. This is a tarot card reading. So is this about good and evil? So that's the reading on Trump. Is this about, to be simplified in such a way? Are there forces of darkness here? Yes. Is there brutality here? Yes. Every day I wake up and see ICE agents manhandling elderly women and men who are in walkers and bloodying them and dragging them along the ground. I mean, this is in a supposedly civilized country. The seven of what has jumped out is this: the battle between good and evil. This is certainly about theft and lies, and truth and awareness battle, lies and deceit. So depends on what your version of good is, depends on what your version of evil is. Do you think lying and stealing from people is evil, or is it good? Do you feel that there is an abuse of power here, the Five of Swords? So we get the Seven and the Five of Swords jump out. Is this evil? In my book it is. All right, in the spiritual battle, though, is this a spiritual battle? Is this a spiritual battle? There's a giant spider over a dome-shaped house or dome-shaped building. Maybe that's the capital, but a seat of power, a parliament. Okay, so is this a battle between good and evil? Is this a battle between good and evil? The Queen of Swords, objectivity. So I that image there, I saw Trump in the clutches of this spider thing that I saw. But he's also going to literally lose his head as well. So again, it fits with the previous reading, that there will be, the truce. The Four of Swords came out up in the signifier card. Truce in the Thoth deck. Truce, I should say. Almost as if it gets to a point and they have to retreat. So objectivity is our gift. The truth is our gift. The Queen of Swords, the objectivity and truth bring us stability. We have the Eight of Pentacles. Again, we are learning. We are all learning about this situation and how we handle it. So the Moon card, again, the volatility and what we might bring up. See, we are all, again, part of the collective. We all have a role to play in ensuring that, or moving forward toward the lighter place, moving away from the darkness. The Moon card, things coming up from underneath the surface, but also the volatility of our emotions. Interesting, in the Rider-Waite deck, the moon looks disapprovingly upon the two. One's a wolf, so we have instinctual, unfettered behaviour, and the dog. The dog is domesticated, but they're baying at the moon. And while they're doing that, we have the looks like a scorpion in this deck, or crab, scorpion coming up from underneath the water. So this speaks to our emotions as well. The Queen of Wands is in the past, so she carried the baton, I think, for a long time. Again, that motivation, that belief, she operates on belief and passion in what she believes in. That is in the past. I noticed in the previous reading, she appears in the immediate future. We have a lot of anxiety, a lot of, again, thoughts, not having the clarity. What is anxiety? It's an absence of clarity of thought. We have the Seven of Pentacles here in the immediate future. Is this a battle between good and evil? It looks like, again, I feel they don't achieve what they want to achieve. I'm talking they. When I say they, I'm talking about I'll just call them oligarchs if you want. But they're the ones who raise prices in a huge supermarket chain because they can. They're the banks that foreclose on your mortgage when you've got nowhere else to go. They're the ones beyond that who are engineering collapses so they can profit from them. They're the predatory capitalists. Okay, it looks like they're not going to with this Seven of Pentacles. It's like their plans don't come to full fruition. Now that is interesting. There we have the devil. Is this a battle between good and evil? At the moment it is. We're in the thick of it. And the Hermit card, again, down the... wow. We're in the tunnel. The Hermit holds the light. This is the dark night of the soul. And, all of us have to take collective responsibility. We can't blame one thing or another because we are where the buck stops, if you like. It's only us that can change things. Three of Cups in the hopes and fears coming together and being unified. And then we have the Ten of Cups, voters, families, everything that's good, that good in our micro environments, the beautifulest of scenes there with our family. It's a joyful card. It's a card about love. And so, this is about recognizing what love is, what hate is, and what love is, and everything in between. And the Nine of Pentacles, that's when we have everything we need when we come to that enlightenment. And then we have the Four of Swords. It's like a truce. Is this a battle between good and evil? It certainly is between greed and, do our votes matter? I heard that question posed today. Will the system just replace one con man with a less obvious con man? Doesn't matter what side of the politics this is on. There are very few, I have learnt very few politicians in which I would hoist my sails for or pin my, what is a batard to? Anyway, so we have a process of breaking things down, of seeing the truth. But is this a battle between good and evil? Yeah. Who's going to win? I feel that, if we can call it, good is going to triumph in some way. And I don't feel that Trump who is one of the architects of this darkness, I'll say that, is going to prevail, is going to win, if you want to put it like that, in the end. So we have the magician. What are we manifesting underneath the pack? We have the Knight of Cups, who brings us an offer of love, but then we have the High Priestess again. There's the Three of Pentacles, always being aware that there are no band-aid fixes. We are going to face the truth, and from the truth we have change, good change happening. So is it a battle between good and evil? It's certainly a battle between awareness and what they try to keep hidden from us. It's certainly a battle between awareness and truth, and deceit and lies and abuse. It's that. All right, last messages from Spirit, and then we will leave that here. I've been feeling for a very long time that this reading is called for, is needed, for those that have the ears to listen. Very much when I do these type of readings, I put myself as an observer of myself, and I connect in strongly with Spirit, and I ask that Spirit bring forward the wisdom for me to bring forward awareness. All right. Last messages from Spirit on this Halloween. Last messages from Spirit on this Halloween. Okay. Heart, home, compassion. I think, when we're buffeted by the winds of this baseness that we're seeing, this evil that we're seeing, one of the things we can do is hold on to our compassion. I listen to politicians of all persuasions who do not who when they're being interviewed on Gaza, who don't talk about the children burnt in their beds, in their hospital beds, the babies left in the humicrids left to starve and die a horrendous death, the young children that were shot in the neck and the head by snipers when they came for aid, the mothers and babies who were shot as they lined up for formula for their children, the burning and the bombing greater than Hiroshima, the bombs that were dropped on Gaza. And when I see Western politicians who do not mention that, who do not mention it in that way with no compassion, I say, damn you. Heart, home, compassion, caterpillar, opportunity. Again, this growth. Those who hold on to our compassion are going to reap the rewards of the day. Feast of plenty, choices and their consequences. Goodness gracious, I couldn't script this even if I wanted to. The choice that you're making today, regardless of whether you're left or right or whatever you are, libertarian in the West, whatever choices you're making, and in the East and in the South, whatever choices you're making are choices about humanity. They're human choices, regardless of race, religion, country, creed. Straddling worlds, wandering between realms. I think, again, this is a pinnacle point in the evolution of humanity. Stars in the sky and limitless possibilities, turning it on its head rather than seeing the darkness, seeing what might evolve from the darkness. Underneath the pack, first breath, beginner's mind. I am confident that Spirit will bring us through. I am confident in a new day, post-Trump, post-predatory systems, post-brutal brutality and death and genocide and theft and abuse and lies. So much of what we're seeing now, I am confident that we will have more stability and a reckoning and accountability in the days, months, years, decades to come. Limitless possibility if we believe, if that's what we strive for, that's what we will get. What is the option? More of the abyss or the light? It is up to us. Bye for now.